Yeah, it wasn't as hot as when the two girls kissed.
I was gonna
Because-
actually bring that up first before I got into mine, as I'm gonna drop some shows too.
It's very wholesome, and like this week's episode was kind of like tearing me up a little bit. I won't lie. It was kind of just like, okay, I'm into it. I'm happy. Incredibly horny though. Vents.
Yeah,
They're doing venti sounds.
it's pretty sus.
Sussy vent. Sus. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Life is Daijoubu, episode 11. Is this really just 11? I feel like we're always down here recording Life is Daijoubu.
Well, if you think about it, though, we record every week for Chainsaw
Man, yeah.
but it's 2 weeks, so this is the 22nd week of us doing Life is Daijoubu.
Wow.
This is almost half a year. Is that weird to think
we
about?
haven't been doing this for half a year. It's been 6 months.
There's 52 weeks in a year. There's 21 weeks in. No, God.
I was gonna say there's no way.
I think we're almost at a half a year. Let me do my math because I sound like an idiot now.
Jeez, I remember like when we were like in the pre-planning phase with the show, and I was just all like,
26 weeks. Sorry. So we're almost on half a year.
"That's insane."
2 more
to me.
episodes will be
Holy
half a year.
crap. But yeah, today we got a show. My name is Cole. I'm joined by Skylar and Thane, and we're going to be talking about anime like we usually do. We don't have a ton of news to go over. We're going to go over the news that we do have, though, and then we'll talk about some of the weekly stuff we've been watching. I think we're about halfway through the season, a little over halfway at this point, so we can kind of like, I feel like we can narrow down some of our favorites at this point, and we can kind of like pinpoint some of them. So I guess we can get like a mid-season reveal of some of our favorites, I guess.
Yeah, check these out.
Yeah,
these
are the ones you want to look out for, kind of thing. And then after that, we're gonna take a quick break, and then we're gonna get into talking about Science Fell in Love, So I Tried to Prove It. We're gonna go into full anime spoilers for just the first season, only the first 12 episodes of the series. And so if you're caught up, feel free to listen. If you're not and you don't care about spoilers, I guess feel free to listen. Up to you at that point. But anyway, let's jump into the news that we have for this for these past 2 weeks. Like I said, I don't have a lot of news. Just I haven't really looked into it too much. I've seen some things. I think the biggest thing, maybe not for me because I don't really read the manga. I kind of dropped it, but I think these two guys are reading the manga.
Yeah.
And it's that Undead Unluck is getting an anime adaptation. So you guys are reading it. What do you guys think about the manga?
I think the first half of the manga is really strong, and then it's kind of the same day, different, or same stuff, different day kind of thing. The later it goes on. It's not, I don't know, and it just follows your typical think about your big Japanese fighting God in the end sort of thing, you know what I mean?
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, what are your thoughts, Thane? I think it's fine. It's like I'd give it like a 6 or a 7.
It's a shonen anime.
I think the world and the concepts is really cool.
They did enter a new story arc and they're trying to mix things up, but it's still just.
This is the last arc, though, isn't it?
Yeah, probably. It's like we gotta save the world. That's about it.
So I won't lie. I read the first volume of this, and I really liked the first volume, and I had a lot of fun reading it. Then I read the first chapter of volume 2 when I picked it up. I did not like it, and then I dropped the series, and I haven't read it since.
Just in one chapter.
No. One volume.
Yeah, one chapter of the second
Yeah,
volume.
one chapter.
Isn't
volume
that when
2
they
dropped
introduced
me.
Gina?
It's the one with the blood bubble or whatever.
Yeah, that's Gina.
Yeah, I just didn't care anymore. I was just like, wow, this went from like 10 to 0 real fast for me.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. Like
That's
I said,
funny because I actually like that part.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe I just didn't understand what was happening. It was too wordy. I don't know.
I think the idea of the show I really like, but it just wasn't, I don't know. The story just wasn't for me, I guess.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's Undead Unluck. Did you guys see a year when that was supposed to be coming out? Is it next year or?
Probably. So
Probably next year sometime.
Next year or early 2024, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Well, cool. So if you're in a shonen, that could be one up your alley. Might give a couple episodes watch. The only other thing I can really think of was that the Kaguya-sama Love is War movie was slated for March in North America for North American theaters. I don't know what that entirely entails or means. I know we get some movies occasionally in our
Are
area.
we talking about the live action or the anime?
Oh, the movie, the live action movie, or excuse me, the anime movie
Yeah.
for Kaguya-sama, like the new arc or the new.
Did
the
you
new
guys know
adaptation.
that there's a live action movie and a sequel to the live action?
Yeah.
Is it good?
I from what I understand, it's not bad. I mean, this is rom-com. It's pretty easy to do live action of.
That's
It's a
true.
live action anime adaptation. Most of them are terrible.
I don't think the ones in Japan are that bad, from what I
Yeah,
understand.
I feel like a rom-com's, like Cole, you just said, is
Yeah,
not that hard. But
especially if it's like a rom-com.
trying to do something like Death Note or Full Metal.
Yeah.
I mean, granted,
Well, I heard the
they
Death
effed
Note
them
movie is decent, the Japanese version, not the live action.
Yeah,
version,
no.
don't get me
Not the
wrong.
one with Nat Wolff.
I've also
or
heard
Alex
that
Wolff.
the Full Metal movies that they're doing in Japan aren't terrible either.
Really, I heard the first one was terrible.
Really?
The Netflix one.
Is it by Netflix?
Well, it's distributed by Netflix
Oh.
internationally.
I don't know.
I saw clips like this looks terrible.
Maybe I heard wrong. I don't know.
Granted, I haven't seen that many live-action anime adaptations other than I watched Death Note and fell asleep because I thought it was really bad. And then I watched Thane watch a little
Well, you
bit
fall
of
asleep in a
Cowboy
lot of
Bebop.
movies because you tend to lie down.
You do like to lie down when you watch a
Yeah.
movie on the couch.
True. But that one, I was excited for it, and as I was watching, I was like, wow, this is really bad. So I
Yeah.
fell asleep. But then I watched a little bit of Cowboy Bebop, and I'm like, wow, this is really insane.
Episode 1 was cool.
You walked into a part where there's a bunch of naked people. They didn't even look that good, and it's like, well, there's naked people. I have to watch this show. It's like, don't.
But Thane, you knew full well as soon as I walked out of that room, I'd never watch that movie.
Yeah, no, don't watch
for the
it.
show.
Do not watch Cowboy Bebop live action. It's
Episode 1's
terrible.
not bad though.
Episode 1
kind of
was
fun.
decent. It was all right.
That's
but then,
all I watched.
But then the show just starts going downhill
I watched
very
episode 1
quickly.
and I thought, man, if the rest of the show is like episode 1, it'd be pretty cool. But from what I understand, it just goes downhill, so I just kind
Yeah.
of didn't bother. But yeah, so Kaguya-sama Love is a War movie. It sounds like North America is going to be getting in March in theaters. We got the Demon Slayer movie here, so maybe we'll get this one here. I'll probably go see it in theaters if they do it
I
here.
saw the One Piece film Red was in our theater, so
Yeah, that's here now.
yeah.
That's some of my buddies went and watched it.
And I went to College Junior and there was a One Piece Red
There's a
cup.
One Piece hat
yeah.
on the cup. No, that's all I got. Did you have anything else, Thane?
2 new manga started, Weekly Shonen Jump.
Oh, was there 2?
Yeah, there's one this week and one last week.
Oh, I need to watch the new one for this week, or read the new one for this week. I read the one from last week. I need to read the one that just started this week then too. Forgot
So
about
I
it.
looked up like the previous manga, the one that premiered last week. Apparently, it's a very dark and disturbing
Yeah.
manga, and I hope this one will be also dark and
So
disturbing.
far, it's kind of going that route.
yeah,
Not
it's
bad.
kind of surprising for Weekly Shonen Jump, but then again, they serialized Death Note, which is very wordy.
This one's kind of psychological.
Yeah,
So it's
and this one
almost worse
seems
in a
like it's
sense.
about code breaking. I haven't read it yet, but
yeah.
yeah.
You got any news, guy?
So my news that I saw that I'm like interested in, but I don't know if I'll partake of at least one of them is on November 25th. So I think it might be the day this comes out or day before this comes out. The time I got reincarnated as a slime, the movie Scarlet Bond hits theaters.
Ooh.
I also don't know if that one's popular enough to come to our movie theater.
Did you get caught up on that series?
It's
Yeah.
Funimation, so and
It's-
Crunchyroll, so it might.
I could.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm caught up. I really, really like that show. I think that's one of my favorite isekais right now. So that's fun. It's in theaters November 25th, and then it's global next year. And then the other news that I saw, and Cole saw a little bit of this morning in my room, but the 7 Deadly Sins is getting a mobile game, which I don't.
Does it already have a mobile game?
I'm sure it does,
they
but
do. Yeah.
This one looks like Genshin.
Oh.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to bring it up just to ask you guys, like, if you've ever played, besides Genshin, have you guys ever played any mobile anime games?
Well, I did a little bit for that one video I did. I
the
played
gacha
like
one?
Arc Knights, and I played the one where they're little, like the anime girls are warships. I don't remember what that one's called. I don't remember. They were
Azure Lane.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. Azure Lanes. I played a little bit of that. Honestly,
That's confused with Kentai Collection.
real talk, Azure Lanes was the best game that I played of them all, but they're all just kind of Azure
Yeah.
Lanes was interesting. It had some like good, interesting concepts for a mobile game, But it's nowhere like what you were looking at with because that's like a Genshin. That's like a third person kind of like.
It looked
action
very
RPG.
polished, and in my head, I'm like, "There's no way it's gonna look this good, right?" But cell phones are incredible nowadays.
They are, yeah.
The only gacha games I ever was interested in were 2 that had that were like worked on by Yoko Taro, the Nier guy, and it was one called Sinnoh Alice, which is like fairy tale characters in like a gacha anime game setting. If you look at their backstories, it's pretty messed up. And then there's another one. Well, that one, Sinnoh Alice, the combat was not engaging enough. Is very boring for me. Probably better for like people who like just like to turn it on and then watch their characters grow and then turn it off. But I don't like that kind of gameplay.
So, sorry, go ahead.
A while ago, I played one called.
There's the other one called Nier Reincarnation. And that combat was also not very good.
Oh.
There you go.
A while ago, I played one a little bit called Dragalia Lost. That one was by Nintendo. And it was not quite the scale of like a third-person action RPG, but it was closer. But
wasn't it unique for not having microtransactions? Or?
I think it did because it's just a mobile game, but I don't... Like, you didn't necessarily need to do the microtransactions. You could play through the whole game without them.
That one's Side Games. That one's... People make Grand Blue Fantasy. Did you say that already?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they make Grand Blue Fantasy.
It looked really pretty when I played it, and the combat was, I mean, it reminded me of like something like Hades, just the way it looks. Anyway.
Hades nuts.
So are those two like synonymous with each other? Is it like if anime game, therefore gotcha polls?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to name anime games without them.
These are so popular right now, like in Korea and China and Japan.
Well, I've been looking into like the mobile game market because it's not something I'm a part of. I'm not a mobile gamer at all. I play old man mobile games, but it's like $1 billion industry over in like China and all those other places.
Like if it's an anime game and it's not mobile, then potentially it won't have gacha stuff. But if it's like a specifically made for mobile and it's anime, it's like almost guaranteed to have some kind of gacha element to it.
Because everybody likes their $1,000 just to get a special variant of
the hot
character.
PNG.
A swimsuit saber.
Gotta get the swimsuit saber.
I've been seeing
saber
those.
Kind of hot though.
They make them so visually appealing though.
Gotta get swimsuit Astolfo.
What's Astolfo?
The trap.
Oh,
sorry. Is that a slur for you people? Sorry.
It's like sensory overload when I look at these gacha games though. It's like there's so much going on screen. It's like slots in Vegas. Especially when people are like doing gacha polls. Like I rewatched Yakko's video on gacha games, and it's just like, why is everything so pretty? Numbers,
very colorful. Yeah, it's basically the same.
Gigic also has a video on gacha games.
At the very end, like you do get a nice picture of a hot anime character. So that's another big win. Yeah. Anime games. Where do we go? Oh, that
was pretty much it. My news.
7 Deadly Sins. Thank you. That's what it was. Yeah.
It looks good.
It has a fighting game too, but
it looks like it works as an action game. Just from the trailer, I watched a little bit of Sky.
Yeah.
That's
it had a fighting game like in its second season though.
Yeah.
Like a one from Namco Bandai where they just pump out fighting games
like
of any anime.
Like the Ninja Storm ones, kind of.
Yeah, it's like that one. And there's also, I remember they had Black Clover, but it was like 3v3 team-based fighting game.
Did that one ever come to the West?
Yeah, it did.
Oh, it did?
They all come to the West because Namco Bandai's like, yeah, somebody will buy it. And they also made that One Punch Man fighting game, but you never play as Saitama because you'd be broken. Instead, Saitama's like a special ability that comes running in. It's like, that sounds interesting.
That's so weird. They don't have the main character as a playable character, but I guess it makes sense based on the premise.
He sounds more like he sounds more like he'd be more for like goofy games, like a Endless Runner or a WarioWare style game. Those sound like more for One Punch Man. Or you have a mechanic that only applies to the game, and it's like they sapped half his power, so he has to build up to get a one punch or something. You have to like make up a mechanic for the game to make a One Punch Man game work.
That would work if he did it like that.
Also, in some of the manga, he doesn't kill some things in one punch.
Oof. Also, he kind of doesn't really fight that much either. He only fights like when it's like
like
the end.
Yeah.
interesting. Anyway, so let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the shows we've been watching over the past 2 weeks. Last week we talked about 2 specific shows. This week we can talk about one to two specific shows if you got something to talk about. And then after we give our little synopsis spiels, we can recommend one. Recommend like one that people should be looking out for, I guess. So for me, the two that I've kind of been, I guess I'll talk about this week. I'll talk about first about Mob Psycho season 3 a little bit. Honestly, the first little bit, I was kind of just like, okay, it's just more mob. It's just there. It wasn't super appealing, honestly, and I was honestly thinking about dropping it just because I wasn't like, after season 2, it just didn't feel like it was that great. But the last couple episodes were pretty good. Honestly, they weren't bad. They still didn't feel like the, I don't know. For me, season 2 felt like an ending to the show. So it was just weird to go back into it. It got better, definitely, since the beginning of the season, so I'm pretty happy with it. But essentially, it's about a boy who has psychokinesis. I think that's what it's called. Just telepathic powers, basically. And he's really nice. A really wholesome boy. Very kind, friendly human. And you never want anything bad to happen to him because he's just a good, happy person. And he helps out a lot of people. So yeah, Mob's a good boy. I like him. Probably best boy of the anime. I don't know another best boy out of all anime because Mob's pretty good. He's just very happy guy, very friendly, happy guy. The other show that I wanted to talk about was, I don't even remember the full name. It's more than a married couple but not dating or something. I need to look it up.
But less than lovers.
I think that's.
Yeah. More than a married couple, but less than. It's very close. I don't think that's the exact wording. I'm gonna Google it really quick, but I gotta tell you about the premise because here it is. It's more than a married couple, but not lovers. Not lovers. That's what it is. Okay, so this it's a weird premise, but once you get over the premise, it's very wholesome, and like this week's episode was kind of like tearing me up a little bit. I won't lie. It was kind of just like, okay, I'm into it. I'm happy. Incredibly horny though. Also, let me throw that out there. So the premise is this school has this weird practical test, I guess, that they do. A practical like they apply, they do a practical. I don't know what to call it. They always just call it the practical. They do like they do something in school and it's the practical thing. Like you actually do it,
It's like a hands-on, real world approach of
sure,
what you're gonna do.
Yeah. And so the practical is that they take a boy and a girl from every single class and they pair them up and make them married, like pseudo married, and they live in the same apartment and everything, and they have to pretend they're a married couple, and the better they are at being they're able to cohabitate and be a married couple, then the higher their score is, the better grade they get, essentially. So doing things like, hey honey, go get the groceries for dinner, or hey, I did the laundry, and then they get points for that kind of stuff. That's basically it. Really, really dumb that they're just chill with just putting these high school aged teenagers with raging hormones into this tiny little apartment that they live in. They have separate rooms, which is, pretty obvious, and like the rooms go so far to even having like a thumbprint scanner where they can't get into the room without like consent from the other person. But it's not like it's like, let's be honest, that door's not doing much. I'm sure there's a lot of them that are just shacking up every night, and it's just like wow. But after you get over that weird premise of like something that would probably never happen in real life about these practical marriage exam thing, it's a pretty wholesome show. It's these two main characters. They like other people, but then they get paired up to be married, and it goes from there. Their relationship develops, and it's quite fun. And it's done so well where I don't know which girl I want to root for. Like, I'm pretty impressed with, like, how much I like both of the girls. However, I think I'm leaning more towards main girl, especially this last week was pretty good for main girl. But yeah, not a bad show. It's surprisingly good, surprisingly wholesome, and incredibly horny all at the same time.
Cool.
As you'd expect from the premise. You got any shows you want to talk about, Thane?
Golden Kamuy.
Golden Kamuy. You been still catching up on that one?
Yeah.
What is the premise of Golden Kamuy? I've only heard good things, but I don't know.
It's about a guy who fought in the Russo-Japanese War. So it's real. It's a real world setting.
What's the year?
1907, I think.
Okay, so pretty far ago.
So I'd consider it like a Western in Japan because it has a lot of Western elements because it starts with him fishing with a guy and he talks about the fisher guy talks about a prison escape and they tattooed the convicts, and then at night one time the guy tries to kill the main character, but with his military skills he kind of kills him. I can't remember quite what happened, but then he finds an Ainu girl who
what's Ainu?
It's like kind of like they're the natives of Japan.
Oh, okay.
They're kind of like Indians of Japan. Sorry, Native Americans. That's an offensive term. Sorry,
Native Japanese.
Native Japanese. They are native Japanese. They're known as Ainu people, and they strip him and they find the tattoos he was talking about, and they said, "Oh shoot, the gold is real." So they go on a quest to go find the prisoners and find the gold, and the girl's wait, I don't know if that's the girl's father had the gold and he killed a bunch of people and tattooed the convicts. I think that's established at the beginning. I don't think that's much of a spoiler. And so they're trying to find her dad and the gold. And then the military gets involved, and the guy leading the operation has like his front lobe blown off, so he's crazy. He's insane. And then one of the convicts, who's actually a historical figure who faked his death, he died in real life, but he faked his death. He's after the gold too. So you got these two antagonists and the main characters going after the gold, and it's a wild ride. And there's a lot of death.
Is it kind of like a rat race to the treasure?
Yeah, well, more like a death race.
They know where it is, though, right? Like,
no, that's the point of finding the convicts and getting their tattoos. That if they die, they can skin them because they got a T-shirt design on them. But if they live, they just draw their tattoos. Because one of the guys, his name's Shiraishi. You don't want him to die because he's the funnest character and he's one of the convicts. But yeah, that's kind of the show, the gist of the show. And then there's a lot of I guess the main reason the soldier guy, his name is Sugimoto. He's known as Immortal Sugimoto because he seems to avoid death a lot. He's wanted to go after the gold because he wants to help a girl in his village who's going blind, help him get to a doctor overseas, to help cure her eyes.
Well, that's nice.
And also her husband was Sugimoto's war buddy.
Oh, so he's like taking care of him then.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's a nice wholesome reason.
Yeah, except what he things he does are not very wholesome.
Oh, gosh. I figured. But I guess I want to
also, there's a lot of comedy. If you're off put by the comedy, then I can understand. But like mostly it's just a dark, gritty story.
Yeah. I think the manga ended recently, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. And a lot of people seem to have dropped the show because the first episode had a CG bear.
Ooh.
And they laughed at it. But later they draw their bears 2D. There's almost no CG. And I'm kind of pissed that people just mocked it for the CG bear and didn't even give the show a chance. But I think more people are getting into it.
Yeah. Like I said, I've pretty much only heard good things about it, and I've always wanted to read the manga, but then I just see like the number, like of the volumes.
Yeah.
And it's a lot, and I want to collect it if I do get into the manga. But one of these days, I think I will. One of these days, I think I will for sure.
It's also homoerotic at times. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Especially with the in season 3, they have a hot spring scenes. They're all just naked in there. It's like, good God.
Is everyone cheeked up too?
Yeah.
It's all about that cake.
In fact, looking up Rule 34, there's nothing but just gay porn. It's just gay. It's like, good God.
Did you have any other shows you wanted to bring up or no?
There's another one I guess you could watch called Raven of the Inner Palace. It's just a anime about set in like medieval China about this guy who consults this girl who's called the Raven Consort. I can't remember their names because they're all Chinese and they pronounce them differently when they say it.
Oh yeah,
It throws me off. But a consort is a woman who performs knightly duties for the king. But
nice.
she's special because she doesn't perform knightly duties. She just consults the king on supernatural matters with like ghosts.
She's
she
like
has
a medium
supernatural
for him.
powers. Yeah. And if you probably wouldn't have predicted by the first episode, but the king and the Raven consort, they kind of start to have you can kind of start to see a romance.
So they might be doing some nightly duties at some point.
Yeah.
Oh, fun. That's one of the shows I thought about. So it's. I'm glad you're watching it. Get to hear a little bit about it.
Okay. Yeah.
This guy, what things?
And also, we had an argument about dropping, and now I think about it, I might just drop.
That might be the one you drop.
No. I might just drop Biscuit Hammer.
Oh, yeah. Biscuit Hammer.
I was gonna actually bring that up first before I got into mine, as I'm gonna drop some shows too. So I don't know if we wanted to talk about them.
When I say drop, I mean not watch them, but then probably watch them when I'm bored.
Yeah, I mean you're already reading the manga too, so
I want to just shove some shows away and just. Focus up on Mob Psycho and Golden Kamuy.
Let's say set them down instead of drop, because drop's mean.
Like when I say drop, I always want to like come back because I always want to finish a show. I want to give it I want to see the full picture, even though knowing how bad a show is, I kind of want to. Yeah. Unless it's segment off in seasons. If I didn't like the first season, I'll finish it and then push it away because that's kind of like the round. It's kind of like Walking Dead. It wasn't even the finishing of a season, it was the finishing of an arc, and when that arc finished, it's like, I don't like this show anymore, and chopped it off. And
I also just
shoved it.
Me too. I think we all got off about the same. Same season too.
It's like I didn't finish I finished season 4 and then a cliffhanger, and then like 2 episodes into season 5, they resolved the story arc, and I was like,
so you went farther than me. I ended after season 3.
Yeah,
was
season
that
3
the governor?
started.
Season 3 was like the jail.
The governor with the jail.
With the jail stuff,
yeah, I've dropped after that too.
Yep. So
I heard the comic book's really good.
Oh yeah,
but I'll just wait for the anime adaptation.
Yeah.
Hey, Invincible. I mean, they're kind of doing it there.
Yeah.
I mean, it could
but
be
it's already
a
got a
thing.
TV show, so I don't know if it'll.
Yeah,
be a
they
thing.
probably won't. But maybe give it 10 years when they're into rebooting things.
Maybe the Negan comic spinoff. Maybe get an animated adaptation. But knowing how they're trying to milk Walking Dead, probably just get its own spinoff, live action spinoff.
Especially because they already have the actors.
Yeah, Jeffrey Dean Morgan looks like he'll just do anything.
Yeah.
I like him as an actor, but he's in a lot of crap. He's one of those actors you like that's just garbage. Anyways,
so yeah, I'll just go through my stuff real quick. So the 2 shows I'm going to drop, I've already talked about them in very bad lighting anyway, is it's called Do It Yourself. It's just a slice of life, and like it's fine, but I'm just not in the mood for slice of life right now.
You know, as much as I complain about isekais, there's just too many slice of life, cute girls doing cute things shows.
Yeah, that's literally all this is.
It's not unique. It's not unique like Bocchi the Rock. I've seen some clips like, wow, that looks fun.
Okay, well I'm gonna talk about that. So shh, let me talk now.
Yeah, okay.
So the Do It Yourself one is it's just a slice of life where they build things, and I don't really care for the characters. It's just I'm not in a slice of life mood, so I'm gonna drop that one. And I say drop, by the way, because that's what Mal calls it. I'm being correct with my terminology here.
Mal's the leader. Of the
Mal's the status quo. So I'm dropping that one, and then the Akiba Maid Wars. I don't care for any of the characters. Like the last episode I just watched, the girl, she doesn't want to be a maid anymore, so she becomes a ninja.
I saw that. I watched a little bit of the episode with you. I walked in and you're watching. I was really curious because I hear you talk about this show. And
yeah.
Did it decline in quality?
The first episode was just fun. Like there was a huge fight scene and the animation was great. And I'm like, wow, this could be something. But like, I don't care for any of the characters. It's just gang wars, but maids.
The fight scene I saw with you was not very interesting. It was literally just a lot of quick cuts with people shooting guns at each other. That was the fight scene.
That's a shame when a show starts strongly and then just
during
declines.
Our break, I want to show you guys the one fight scene that I watched. I was like, wow, this could be something. Yeah.
The first episode.
First episode.
I've seen that.
I haven't seen it.
I'll show you. Cool. But yeah, I'm dropping those two. I just don't care. But the two I wanted to talk about. The first one I wanted to talk about, My Hero. I feel like My Hero Academia, if you're not caught up, like I don't think it's worth watching everything to catch up right now. But if you're like a season behind or even just started this season but haven't watched up to the latest episode, man, I left on a killer cliffhanger. But I also feel like it's gone from like maybe a 5 to 100 really quick or 5 to 10. Because My Hero, it feels like going up throughout this point. Like there are some arcs where it's like, wow, stuff's happening. But now it's like people are dying. The world is in shambles. Like it's crazy. So My Hero right now is super fun for me.
Yeah, I'll admit I like My Hero, but there's some points where I was like, wow, this is
it just drags and you're just like
that
oh, man, I
freaking
can't.
Cultural festival arc. It's like,
just
skip this.
I did like the music video or the song they did at the end of it.
They could have just cut that whole arc out of the anime.
Yeah,
and
that was the worst. They had the worst villain.
Yeah.
A lot of the slower arcs where they're like doing the school stuff, it's like really slow. It's like
it feels like filler.
Yeah, it feels like filler, but it's
in
canon.
the manga. It's canon.
And like I understand it's for character development, but it's like you can do this a lot quicker. Like you could do like 3 or 4 chapters, but a whole arc, like a whole 12 chapter arc for this, I don't know. And then but yeah, where they're at right now, it's really
exciting.
It's really exciting. Like I hope it finishes off strong.
Is the manga ending soon?
It feels like
it's supposed to.
Yeah, like
whatever
they always
means.
keep doing like mini battle. Like it's the typical final battle where they're always trying to cram as many battles.
Yeah,
try to
resolutions for other characters.
Yeah, like a couple chapters back, they just had like this big
flashback.
Yeah, flashback, like world building flashback. That was like, wow, that's interesting.
It's really interesting, but it's like I don't care about this right now. This should have been like 100 chapters prior.
So yeah, like this should have just been like
the layout of the writing isn't.
It seems like he spent too much time doing culture festival arcs when he could have been doing interesting world building that he decided to shove in right before he ends the manga.
Yeah, that's too bad.
And I assume like this is for like if people want to start pick up the series, because I assume other people are going to start doing like a spin-offs. I mean, there's already Vigilantes, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be more after that.
Yeah, the world would work really well for spin-offs. Like, I'm surprised there's not even more than just Vigilantes.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, My Hero, it's good. You should check it out. And then the other one, Thane already mentioned, it's called Bocchi the Rock. I talked a little bit about it last episode, but man, it just gets better. I love music, so that's like the main thing for it, but it also just talks about real world issues that I think individuals go through. I'm sure all of us have gone through it, just like social anxiety, trying to figure out yourself, who you are and who you want to be.
So it's more than just cute anime girls doing cute anime girl things.
It's like cute anime girls discovering. It's mostly the main girl right now. She's been the one getting most of the character development because she's a shut-in trying to socialize, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's really fun that way, but it's also like, I don't know, the writer and the animation, they like this latest episode I watched, they did like a claymation shot where they had claymation stuff going on is what it looked like to me.
I saw a clip where she's like on the ground like going and then one turret cuts, she goes
yeah.
I laughed my ass off on that clip. I was like,
it's just fun because it's usually like the way that they distinguish when she's having a meltdown is they'll change the animation completely, even to the point where they did like a real world shot of somebody's hand, and like they did like an acid trip of it. It's just like they mix so many different things in there like that to be like, wow, this is her brain right now freaking out.
That's a really good way to use the medium too.
I
like that.
I haven't seen anything like this in anime up to this point anyway. So
well, I mean, just you talking about it reminded me of Fooly Cooly a little bit.
Yeah, it's like except it's not like the animation they throw in there.
It's
like
not
I
doing
said,
it just for funsies. It's
it's
reasons.
for storytelling,
Gotcha.
not
That's
just
cool.
like and not just vomiting onto the screen, but it's got storytelling elements behind it. So
that's cool.
It's really fun. I think that one is I'm assuming we want to go into our hard recommends for the season.
Let's do our hard recommends so far.
Bocchi the Rock is I think right now, that one, Spy Family, and My Hero are my 3 hard recommends.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, those 3.
What do you got? Some hard recommends, like at least one solid. Like this one's probably going to be a must watch later.
2
I think Chainsaw Man goes without speaking. By the way.
Okay.
Well, we can No, duh. We're doing.
Yes, guys.
Well,
that's a hard recommend. That's all our hard.
I
recommends.
almost forget that's even a thing until we do the actual. Anyway,
Yeah.
What do you got? What's your hard?
I got
recommend?
2 hard recommends. Gundam. I know a lot of people are complaining. Oh, it's just cute girls, but it's got like from the prologue episode to this recent episode, it's gonna go places. I'm feeling it. And then Golden Kamuy. Just watch Golden Kamuy.
Nice.
It keeps getting better every season.
My I can really only give one super hard recommend, I feel, and it's a very not niche, but like specific. Okay, I'll give two. So the specific one is if you are into rom-coms, then watch the More Than a Married Couple But Not Lovers. I talked about it briefly, obviously, earlier today. But if you're not into rom-coms, you probably won't care for it. But if you are into rom-coms, I think it's going to be the sleeper that nobody's talking about for some reason. I don't know why it's not up there with things like Rent-A-Girlfriend or Fly Me to the Moon or Hori Me. I don't know why people don't talk about it. I really don't. It's really good for that, like, especially this last episode, like I said. And then the other hard recommend is a little bit more niche. It's I'm the villainess, I'm training the final boss. It's a little bit more rom-com / isekai / but it's just surprising how much content they fit in such a little time. I feel like I've seen 2 seasons of an anime and I've only watched 6 episodes so far. Like it's surprising how much they're able to fit into it. So it's pretty good. Those are my 2 hard recommends. Well, that does it for the first half of the show. We're going to jump into our break right now, and then when we get back, we're going to talk full-on spoilers about Science Fell in Love, so I tried to prove it. We'll see you guys in just a bit. Welcome back, everybody, from our break. To now, we're going to be talking about Science Fell in Love, so I tried to prove it. That name's a bit of a mouthful, honestly. I think people online just call it science. If they're talking about rom-com specifically, just call it about that. Anyway, yeah, we're going to be talking about that. We're going to go into full-on spoilers. It's just the first season, just the first 12 episodes, and that's about it. We're not going to be talking about season 2 at all, other than I'll briefly talk a little about it because I watched the first episode, but I won't go into spoilers at all with that. Just for season 1 spoilers. Anyway, so the premise of the show is it's a group of scientists, but 2 main scientists, and they don't really know how to explain their romantic feelings, their romantic I guess feelings was the right word there, wasn't it?
Yeah. Emotions.
Emotions, that's the word I was thinking. Emotions. Their romantic emotions. They don't know how to express it. They don't really understand it. They don't know how to explain what they are or why they're feeling the way they do. And so they're trying to use science to prove it because they are science types and they're doing their best to prove logically that they like each other. At the very beginning, the girl confesses and says, "I think I'm in love with you." And they're like, "Okay, let's find out if you actually are." And
prove it.
Prove it, yeah. Like it's like picture it didn't happen, but with love. So that's the premise of the show. It progresses every episode's a new thing. They're doing something new every episode. And by the end of the series, they have a beautiful kiss. Very, very nice, happy, beautiful kiss.
Yeah, it wasn't as hot as when the 2 girls kissed. That was out of nowhere.
That was out of nowhere, and I was kind of just like, Oh boy.
Let's go.
And the lolly's like, what? You don't do this with your friends? It's like, no.
I want to see your friends in action.
Yeah.
Honestly, the show. So the very beginning, because it was such a direct, I think I'm in love with you, let's find out kind of thing. I was in. I was like, okay, cool. This is cool. I'm into this. This is going to be different. We're going to see some interesting things. And I was like, cool, I'm in for it. And then as the series progressed, I was just more and more just like, yeah, we're getting there. This is the typical rom-com stuff. We're getting there. It took a little bit, but they finally got to the point where it was just typical rom-com stuff. I will say there were some underlying things that I really appreciated that you don't see too much in rom-coms, but sometimes. But for the most part, it ended up being a very typical rom-com. What are your guys' initial thoughts on the series?
I liked the side characters more than the two main ones. I really liked Tarasuke and the other girl that I don't even remember her name. She's the one
I don't remember any of the characters' names.
They're best friends. Tarasuke, he's the blonde-haired guy.
The little lolly girl?
Yeah, the little lolly girl. I liked them more just because I was more interested. I wanted to know what her story was.
Wanted them to hook up,
yeah, I really wanted them to hook up.
Everyone wants them to hook up, I'm sure.
Because there were moments where I was like, wow, those two are cool. And then the other girl that's just a third party.
She's really like the third wheel of the group, isn't
yeah,
the
she
fifth
really
wheel,
is.
I guess,
and in my head, I was
She's
just
the
like,
straight man.
I was like,
Yeah,
she needs somebody too. I really thought that, and I'm glad they didn't go that way because she had like a teacher complex where she's liked one of her teachers.
Yeah.
And then the buff teacher rolls up. I was just like, oh no, please.
Yeah, I thought the same. I'm like, please don't do it.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, I'm married. And I'm just like, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Thank goodness he's married.
Yeah. But I don't know. Like I said,
But
I think
it's an open relationship. What he said, but it's an open relationship. Like, no.
I cared more about those three characters than the actual two main ones.
Really?
Yeah, I had no relatability to either of those two.
I'll be honest. Main girl looks like she's a scientist for a hentai.
Okay, I'll give you that. Yeah, she definitely does.
She like. It's funny how they make like science. It's always in Hollywood and anime. They make scientist characters like women, like impossibly hot, and it's like that people who are into science don't look this good.
But some of them do probably.
Some of them probably do, but they don't go out to make themselves look that good.
That one, she looked that good.
Yeah, she looked more like a model. She looked more like a, and you always saw a little bit of cleavage every time. It's like she looks like she's modeling for like a science catalog more than an actual scientist.
Her freaking bobbies were huge.
Yeah, she had some big old
knockers,
melons.
Her design, she looked like she'd be more of a side character than the main character. But
honestly, real talk, I thought that I don't remember her name. I don't remember any of her names, honestly. The brown hair girl, though. I always thought I felt like she felt more of a main female lead than the
maybe that's
girl.
why I didn't really like the two main characters that much,
because they don't feel like a lead. It feels like we're just watching them with the main characters, if you will.
Yeah.
I definitely felt that the brown hair girl was the main character. If I had to pick a main character, that's kind of who I would pick.
Yeah.
I think actually those two are for each other because the dude also looks like he'd be in a hentai.
Oh yeah, totally.
So got two hentai main leads, not in a hentai, and the side characters who are more interesting.
Yeah.
And you could tell the lolly's not a hentai because she has a dress and gloves. Don't worry, she's safe.
But those two, Tarasuke and Lolly Girl, were perfect. They were both gamer nerds.
Yeah.
She was always on her 3DS, and he couldn't put down his freaking dating sim.
Dating sims, visual novels. I thought that was funny.
She's a manipulative, evil little girl.
So while we're on the dating sim guy, I think one of the best parts of the whole show was when he was giving his presentation, and then like the guy's just all like, well, how does this help out humanity? And he's like, F you, bro. It effing does.
He's like, okay, baldy.
Yeah. He just freaking roasted for the next 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I can dig it.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is supposed to be like the
comedic guy.
The comedic guy / make you justify that you're just at 3 a.m. at night watching anime. He's that guy. He's trying to make you feel good about it. But I thought that was fun. For me, the best part of the whole thing was getting to watch the two main characters, see how like their emotions began to develop. Which is honestly why I think we see a lot of these rom-coms end up being like younger characters, being specifically in high school, because they're in a time when their emotions are more likely to develop into becoming a different kind of a person. And then when you get to the older group of people, they're not quite there. So that's why I think they were such blank slates at the beginning. They slowly develop into different emotions. Then the other thing I wanted to point out is this is basically Steins Gate if science wasn't the focus of Steins Gate. And I was just like, okay, I'm into it, kinda. But then it just made me really appreciate Steins Gate so much more because of how much better of a plot that story is.
Steins Gate without the suspense.
Yeah, for real. And the huge focus on trying to get them together, but.
And also, they have a better setting for time travel. They have a better, more, but instead of some guy's apartment.
And the emotions in Steins Gate feel more real than this one. Because this one, it feels like they're forcing them to happen so they can experiment on it. Whereas in Steins Gate, the main focus isn't the emotions; it is the science-y part, but then it sneaks and hits you in the head with the emotions, and so it's interesting. But I did like to draw the parallels, the comparisons between the two. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Also they got another trope of the two main characters being so smart that they don't have common sense, which doesn't make sense. Because smart people would have the most common sense. Yeah, like it's like freaking Big Bang Theory, where Sheldon's like, he's so smart around other stuff that he doesn't have like common sense for other stuff. It's like, this isn't real. This isn't realistic. Like
it's a trope and it's a stereotype.
Yeah.
But it's blown out of proportion. Like I will say that stereotype / trope does have some merit in real life anyway. But when you see it in media, it is typically blown out of proportion.
Yeah, more like a person who's like is like a super genius, but is like more down to earth. Actually, thinks about things is Walter White in Breaking Bad. Like, he's a chemist and he knows a lot of stuff, but like he also knows how to. He like knows how to like quickly adapt to situations. He knows like common basic things. Like it's like that's more of a really smart person. That's more of a realistic interpretation smart person, like Gus Fring and who else is super smart in Breaking Bad? I can't, like Gus, and it's pretty much those two, Gus and Walt. And I guess Saul, he's smart too. He's like
cunning.
Yeah, he's cunning. Especially
he's charismatic though, very charismatic, more so than the other two for sure.
Yeah, and like even people who are like, you wouldn't think super smart, like say John Wick, like he's smart. He's like smart enough to like really get out of any situation, even though he gets pretty messed up. Like it's more realistic for that sense. Then again, John Wick's not a great example because he's not like a super chemist, but he is a polyglot. He knows a lot of languages, so he has the potential to be like a super genius, like a scientist type. It's just how he was raised, more like being an assassin.
I think two of my favorite things about the show is I really liked all the little science bits that little bear would break away.
Oh, you liked that?
Yeah, I was like, wow, I'm actually learning. This is interesting.
In the dub, they like, it's a weird translation because it always says bear. Like, sounds great, huh? Bear, and it's like, are you trying to have them say kuma? Because in Japanese, like watoshi to kuma, like it sounds more flows better. But they always keep saying bear. It's like, this doesn't flow very well. Like,
I was actually gonna bring this up. I enjoyed a lot that they used actual science, or at least made me think it was real science. I don't know if it was or not. It's
probably real science,
but it seemed very real, and I liked that they really tried their best to do that. But I very much disliked the bear. I thought that was really annoying, and I thought it destroyed all the pacing of the show.
I didn't care for the bear. I liked the science that it was trying to teach me.
I really, really hard for me to pay attention when that bear got up there.
It should just had the brown hair girl break the fourth wall and say, "Here's how it is."
It should have been the brown hair girl. It shouldn't have been the bear. I think the bear really ruined it. I think it was just them
trying to make a mascot. Like, it's always these slice of life or comedy shows always try to make a little mascot character, but it's like you don't need it.
I think that was a miss for me. The bear was definitely a miss.
Yeah, I'm the same. I didn't care for the bear. I just
found
like the
every
information.
time in the dub it said bear, found it annoying because it just doesn't flow well.
Every
in
now and then
English.
it fit.
Yeah.
When they made a pun about it.
Yeah, bear. But then it's like every time it's like, sounds great, huh? Bear. It's
like when he would say unbearable, I was like, okay, cool.
That's how you use it.
I like that.
But then you just put bear at the end of some of the every other sentence. Like that's not how it works. Like Japanese flows different, so it can add the word kuma into it. But yeah.
And I think the last thing that I like too is they always came to the same conclusion no matter what experiment they did, because I guess they just weren't willing to admit it, or rather maybe they were just overlooking it as like, why does my heart race when I'm around this person? Because you like him. How come when this person touches me and nobody else, my heart races? Because you like him or you like her. You know what I mean? It was like, and the way they look at it though is they try to be so analytical with their emotions that I just don't think that's something you can actually measure with, like numerically.
I think that's the point of the show.
It's more psychological science.
Yeah, but it's just like a
They're trying to measure it with like hard like
data
science. It's like no, it's psychological.
Yeah, but it was like a fun way of like, wow, they are trying to measure these emotions numerically, like showing physical evidence of it. But I think just the fact that one individual can make you feel a certain way and get you whether excited or nervous or whatever, that's just kind of a telltale sign. Yeah. But it was fun trying to see them try to measure those types of things.
Also, it's set conveniently in a liberal arts college.
So they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, they can have any different character they want, do different sciences. It's like, usually people like this wouldn't be in the same group. They kind of be splintered into their own groups.
Like, you want to study dating sim? Sure.
A guy wants to be a game designer. He would not be in the theoretical physics class.
Was that manga artist? Was that supposed to be the author inserted?
I think that was a self-insert. I really do. I think that was. I disliked the self-insert. But I did like the voice actor, Jeremy Lay.
Yeah, it definitely broke the immersion for me because it was like, oh.
I almost wonder if a lot of this is based in reality, where they might have known some people that were similar to this. And I wonder, obviously, I feel like a lot of it's blown out of proportion, but I feel like that this story could have been based in true, and they did do that self-insert because that's potentially how it actually happened.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's just all theoretical speculation that I don't actually know.
It's funny. I looked up the author for this. It's a manga. It's not a light novel.
Yeah,
as I thought it would be, but apparently Googling the name of the author on Wikipedia, it like pulls up an actual Japanese scientist.
Oh, really?
But I couldn't find the connection between the two. So it's like, is there a connection? Like, because if he wrote it, I don't know if he draw it. Maybe he just did. Maybe he just draw it in his off time while doing science stuff. I don't know. I have to look up. I'll look up the name.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Overall, though, like on the scale of rom-coms, I don't put it super, super high. I still have other things higher. Like honestly, the one I was talking about all episode, the married couple one, like I put that one above this one just because the emotions and they feel more real. They feel more natural / real. But like obviously, I get that that's the point of the show, is that they're not supposed to feel natural and real. They're supposed to be understanding and figuring them out.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And like leading into like what is season 2, I guess before I get there, it is nice that you get to see them essentially go through the stages of being a couple rather than them finding out if they are liking each other. They don't have like that back and forth. Do I like them? Do I not? I mean, they do, but they already almost are a couple, and that's what's nice. And you don't see a lot of that in rom-coms where they start as a couple, very rarely anyway. And if they do it like Fly Me to the Moon, where they're not really a couple. They just happen to be married. They happen to be lived. I don't know. So going into season 2, it's essentially, from what I can tell, it's gonna be more of the same, except for it's just that next step. I mean, they kissed at the end of this season, and season 2, episode 1, minor spoiler, they kiss again, and so like obviously that ice has been broken, and they can continue on, and they continue to progress their relationship in that aspect. So it seems like it's always gonna be the next thing, I guess. So I don't know if I'll finish it right away. I don't think we're gonna watch it for the show unless one of these two wanted to for some reason. I don't plan on ever bringing it back up. So yeah. So if you want to watch it, go for
Get
it.
sent to the shower. All right, I looked it up. It does pull up a My Analyst profile for Alfred Yamamoto, but it also has there's also an article for, I think, an unrelated person named Alfred M. Yamamoto, MD, who was born in America. So
what if it's a pen name and they just use that scientist's name?
Oh, that could be.
I don't know if that's like. I'm
Also,
just speculating at this point.
Apparently. Oh, I thought this was a Pixiv, but no, it's called Annilist. Oh, but they also wrote another manga called Chaos Wizard to Akuma no Shimobe. So there you go.
Yeah, I think this show just reminds me of all those cookie cutter rom-com shows I watched during my my huge anime binge phase a couple years back, where it's just not super memorable. I think it's fun and cute, but like, yeah, I'm with you. This one isn't up super high on my list. If anything, though, it just reaffirms to me that I'm really into nerds.
I remember like in the dark era of my life, 2013, 2014, that's when I was binging anime.
The dark era of your life.
I watched a lot of garbage because I just wanted to watch it. And I had time. And eventually I just stopped.
You're out of the dark era now?
Yeah, and I stopped watching anime at one point. And I only watched a few select things like JoJo. But then we started this podcast and I started watching more and more. Yeah. All right, can I see the keyboard and the mouse? Because I actually need to spell out this anime on the screen so people can look it up.
What are you going to look up?
Oh, no. I'm just going to type out the anime I'm going to pick. Yeah. So.
Okay.
I don't know how you're going to do this.
Okay.
Good luck.
So pull up a notepad.
I don't think you can make the font of Notepad very, very big.
What if I just...
Yeah, you can.
I'll just put it on the screen for you, okay?
Okay.
This is gonna be so much easier. Just send it to me, and then you could if you want to.
Here's the name. It's so the anime. Oh yeah, it's during the dark era. I watched it during my dark era. It's called Kyousougiga, and it's and I guess I can also spell it right here.
Just spell it.
Kyousougiga.
This is one of your dark era ones.
Once again. Kyousougiga.
Does it have
it 5 more times so they get to their
Does it have a where to watch thing?
What?
Does it have a where to watch on there? Where
it has Crunchyroll.
Crunchyroll?
And that's about it.
So what is this? What is it? This is your dark era one. Like
yeah.
This
is the one back in 2013.
What kind of is it? What kind of anime
it's a what kind of genre is it? It's a sort of an adventure. I wouldn't say slice of life, but it seems slice of life. It's a fantasy, adventure, fantasy, science fiction type show.
Okay, I might be missing something. I'm just curious. How does this relate to the show we just watched? I don't.
Oh, sorry. I thought
is this the next?
Yeah, this is the next one.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know we were there yet.
Oh.
Did you think we were there?
Well, yeah, because he was like, I want to type it on the thing.
Yeah.
I just thought he was like gonna like make a comparison. I didn't know we were ending yet.
Yeah.
How do you spell it one more time? Thing.
I put a picture of him on the screen, by the way.
Like
people can see what it is for sure.
Okay.
Kyou.
I didn't know we were doing
OU.
SOU.
GIGA.
So I guess before we continue with this real quick, final thoughts on the show before we just end. We didn't do any of that. You just looked it up and then.
Final thoughts.
Oh my
God. Mid.
Was this one of the first rom-coms you've seen, or like what are some
I've
of the
seen
rom-coms?
several others. If you count rom-com being hentai.
Sky, what do you think about the show overall?
It was fine.
No, I've seen
like this
before.
isn't one I'd watch again. Just because the problem is I've seen so many good rom-coms that when I see average ones, it's just like eh.
And then you've seen the best one, which is Kaguya-sama.
Yeah, that's the problem.
It's really hard when that's the
seen. Once you've seen Kaguya and then read it, you're like, well, this is peak rom-com.
I remember when
read it.
Read the manga.
Read the manga.
It's just like read it.
I remember I watched one on Netflix. It was it was fun. That one was better than this one. It's called B Gotta HK, Yamada's First Time. It's just about a girl trying to bang 100 dudes.
That was better than this.
But she focuses on one being her first. But that's the whole story, is her trying to get with him, and he feels inadequate or something like that.
Well, cool. So that was Science Fell in Love. Now this is the part where we would introduce your show for the week.
Yeah. Sorry.
I don't know if I'm going to cut up the episode or not. I was just so lost when you just started going on this tangent, and I was just like, what is he talking about? How is this even related to the show?
Sorry, I thought you were done.
Yeah, it probably didn't help that I kind of wrapped it up with, if anything, this show just reminds me that I'm into nerds, and I felt like that was probably my bad.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, so for once again, what is the show we're watching for the next 2 weeks?
All right.
Then?
It's called Kyousougiga.
Kyousougiga.
KYOU.
KYOU.
SOU.
SOU.
GIGA.
GIGA. There we go. There's your 7 times. We've said it at least 7 times.
Yeah,
Yes,
right.
you got it.
Call now and place your order.
So you said it's like a fantasy slash
it's a science fantasy adventure
How many
type
episodes
show.
is it?
It's lower than I thought on my anime list, but I quite enjoyed it back in the day. It's only 7.7.
Have you seen it since then?
Yeah, I saw it one time after Christmas just to watch it again, like it was a couple years back.
Okay.
Yeah, how many episodes?
I gotta admit, the first 5 episodes pretty strong, but
At
it
least
kind of. But the last 5 episodes, it's only like 10 episodes.
10 episodes.
It says 13 on there, but some of them are just recaps, and there's like a prologue episode which I wouldn't recommend watching because it kind of does spoil the show a bit. But if you watch it from episode 1 to 10, and then go back and watch that short episode, you kind of see the concepts it had. It started as like a short, like a 30-minute short, kind of like a pitch.
Yeah.
And then everyone really liked that and eventually got into it in a anime adaptation, which surprisingly Crunchyroll picked up after its 4th episode.
Well, cool.
So I'm glad I watched it because it was one of the animes that I watched that got me through sad times.
Cool. Well, I'm excited to watch it then too. So that's Kyousougiga. That's what we're gonna be watching for the next 2 weeks. Like Skylar and Thane said, you can find it on Crunchyroll, elsewhere on the internet, however you find anime.
Yeah.
But officially
DVD
Crunchyroll.
collection. I one time saw it on DVD at Walmart, which is surprising.
Oh, wow, Walmart. Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for listening and watching this episode of Life is Daijoubu. We hope you guys have enjoyed. And we will see you guys next week for Chainsaw Man and in 2 weeks for Kyousougiga. Have a great life, everybody.